On Monday afternoon, Captain Ray Bowyer was piloting a routine passenger flight from Southampton to Alderney, but to his and the passengers' surprise, a strange object became visible on the horizon. You've been a professional pilot for 20 years. You've flown thousands of flights. You're putting your reputation on the line here, so you must truly believe what you saw was very real.
In my years of experience, I've never seen anything like this. And frankly, I'll be perfectly happy not to ever again. It's a pretty chilling thing, and from my first sighting of it, which was initially maybe around 50 miles away, perhaps 40 miles away from the actual object, it appeared to be fairly small, but it must have been pretty huge. It must have been very, very much larger than I thought it was originally. I told air traffic control that they asked me for a size approximately. I said about the size of a 737, perhaps twice the size. But in reflection, seeing this object from about 40 miles away, it must have been very, very much bigger than that. Perhaps maybe a mile across, perhaps.
Were you scared?
I wasn't too happy, put it that way. I was quite glad to get on the ground and have a cup of tea.
So this appeared as a solid object. Using this pad, could you actually draw for me what you saw?
Well, getting closer to it, through the binoculars, I could see a sort of a shape very much like this, extremely pointed, very long and thin, and it should be slightly thinner than that, but this area, about 2/3 of the way along the fuselage, was pretty dark. This was very brilliant yellow, very golden yellow, and very dark in this area.
Now what's particularly interesting about this case is that not only did you see it, but your passengers saw it, and indeed radar picked it up. Can you tell me about that?
As I understand it, there was a plot taken on the Jersey radar to be a couple of miles south of the Casquettes Lighthouse, and another aircraft also flying in the vicinity from the Isle of Man into Guernsey, I believe, saw a similar sort of thing.
Would you mind showing us on a chart exactly your course and where you saw these two UFOs?
No problem at all. The position of the first one would have been about here, just south of the Casquettes, which according to radar, and the position of the second one in relation to that one was probably around here somewhere, very close to Guernsey, I would have imagined.
Jersey Air Traffic Control confirmed their radar picked up some activity in the area, but say the data can't be taken as evidence of a UFO's presence.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for coming this morning. My name is Ray Bowyer, and I fly a civilian airliner as captain. I've been invited here due to my sighting last April of multiple as yet unidentified objects over the Channel Islands region of the English Channel. This encounter lasted for 15 minutes, and the first object being visible from 55 miles distance. On nearing the object, a second identical shape appeared beyond the first. Both objects were of a flattened disc shape with a dark area to the right. They were brilliant yellow with light emanating from within, and I estimated them to be up to possibly a mile across. I found myself astounded but curious, but at 12 miles distant these objects were becoming uncomfortably large, and I was glad to descend and land the aircraft. Many of my passengers saw the objects, as did the pilot of another aircraft 25 miles further south. There is also possible radar information still being investigated. A team headed by Dr. David Clark looking at this case will shortly be published will shortly publish a report, but I understand that this time no definitive solution has been discovered to explain the sighting as yet. I've taken note of some of the differences between the British and the US reporting system. It appears that attitudes on opposite sides of the Atlantic are very different when it comes to the required reporting and recording of this type of event. Air law stipulates quite clearly that if an operating crew of an aircraft see another aircraft in a place that it shouldn't be, then at the earliest opportunity the whole scenario is to be reported to the relevant authorities. In my case, the British Civil Aviation Authority knew within 20 minutes of the sighting what was seen as described in the flight log and faxed directly to the relevant CAA office. The military were informed by Jersey Air Traffic Control at the same time. This is not an option. this is an obligation that crews react in this manner. In my experience, having reported the incident as required has had no negative effect, and there was no problem with me talking about this on British television. Indeed, my company, Alderney Air Services, have offered every support to date. The assistance of Jersey Air Traffic Control in releasing recorded information to myself and the investigating team has been of great benefit. I did not feel that I was in any danger of being ridiculed, because all I did was report what actually happened, as was my duty as operating aircrew. I heard about the multiple witness sightings at Chicago O'Hare Airport about a year ago now, on November the 7th, 2006. I was surprised to hear how it was handled. Despite many pilots and airport personnel witnessing the object hovering over the terminal, there was no investigation at all by the FAA. It appears that pressure may have been applied to crew members by their company not to discuss this incident. I would have been shocked if I was told that the CAA in UK would obstruct an investigation, or if the CAA told me that what I had seen was something entirely different. But it seems that pilots in America are used to this sort of thing here. I would urge all fellow aircrew to report whatever they see as soon as possible, and to stand up and be counted. It's only when crucial and critical witnesses such as aircrew make reports that the authorities will be kick-started into a broader investigation of this phenomena. Thank you very much.